everybody, Mike Beer here with your race of the day for Wednesday, October 26th. The race of the day is race number 6 at Keeneland on Wednesday. A field of 8 fillies and mares. They're going to sprint 6 furlongs for a big purse of $120,000. This is a non-winner of 2 allowance race, optional $80,000 claiming tags attached. This race of the day is presented by DRF Bets. Let's take a look at this field of 8 fillies and mares, though. The morning line favorite, you can see number 3, Zayn Al-Arab at 2-1 on the morning line. This is a 4-year-old filly shipping in from New York, getting a trainer change from Chad Brown to Brendan Walsh, and switching from turf to dirt while cutting back in distance. So some changes going on for Zayn Al-Arab. At one time, this horse was a $1 million purchase for Shadwell Stable. I think it's fair to say that she is not living up to that price tag, at least so far. 8 career starts. She has won 2 of the 5 times that she's won on the dirt, and both of her career wins to this point have been sprinting on the main track. And listen, her 3 most recent starts on the turf, they're not poor performances. She was facing good horses in all 3 of those races, and she ran fine to finish either second or third in all 3 of those races. I wouldn't say it's a huge improvement of over what she was doing on the main track, but she certainly held her form on that surface. Her main track form, I guess, is okay. The last 2 times that they ran her on dirt, those are races separated by a layoff, and one of them is the Grade 2 Raven Run, but she did not run well in either of those races. Sort of bounced back a little bit on turf most recently as they ship her down here to Keeneland, a surface that she has run over before. They're just going to, switch her back to the main track here and see if she can maintain that form. It doesn't seem like she has, a huge future on the grass, but she may not have a huge future on this surface either. And she is 2-1 on the morning line. So we'll see, what she does here. I thought she was a pretty dicey favorite. Maybe that opens this race up and gives us a chance to make some money on somebody else. We'll start out by taking a look at the Timeform US pace projector, because there is a little bit of speed in here. It'll be interesting to see how fast these horses go. Timeform US does not give an advantage to either front runners or closers, but they do have 3 of these fillies right up close to the pace early. So maybe we'll get some hitting early on to sort of set this race up for some of the others. Number 6, Awesomely Shy, is expected to be out on at least a short lead at the pace call. She's got her work cut out for her here. She's very lightly raced. She comes in also very light on figures off of a pretty disappointing loss in her most recent start. And she's just facing some horses who are a lot faster than she is. So we'll see if she can get forward, and then we'll see if she can take the necessary step forward. The other 2 horses that Timeform US expects to show speed in here are, I think, 2 of the main contenders in the race. Number 2 is Bomb Diggity for trainer Steve Asmussen. Very lightly raced 3-year-old, does have good speed, is exiting a little bit of a disappointing performance, but overall, her form from limited starts, her form is pretty good, and I do think they're going to be using her speed from the inside draw here. Number 7, Magic Quest, another horse who does have plenty of speed. She has the advantage of being drawn outside. But, it almost feels like they've got to be a little bit aggressive with her. So I won't be surprised when she goes forward as well. And I think, both the 2 and the 7 are major contenders in this race. Let's start out with number 1, Compelling Smile. Hard to make, a real serious case for. It's not like she doesn't have some races, though. If you can, if you somehow have a reason to believe that she's going to be able to get back to one of her really good races, she can contend here. It's been a while. So she's run one of those really good ones. She has not won a race in over 2 years. July 2nd of 2020 at Ellis Park is the last time this 5-year-old mare won a race. And her recent form just leaves an awful lot to be desired. They did try to cut her back to sprint 2 starts ago at Ellis Park. That did not work out. Just got outrun last in that race right from the start and just stayed on the rail and never really made any kind of an impact. They stretched her back out to the 1-turn mile last time. More of the same. Never got involved. It's 4 really poor performances in a row for this 5-year-old mare, and she needs to turn it around quickly if she's going to contend here. The 2 is Bomb Diggity, who we talked about a little bit in the open. I do expect her to show speed here. 1 start as a 2-year-old, returned from the layoff way back in February at Fairgrounds. Really impressive maiden win that day. Just got absolutely took charge of that pace right from the start, got absolutely loose, never gave anyone in there a chance, very confidently ridden throughout as well. One of the horses that was chasing her around the track in there, Ride the Plan, is right back in here. Ride the Plan was no match for this horse that day. Her next start, which came here at Keeneland, first time against winners, ran very well in that race. That could not get forward. A little bit of trouble at the start, left her towards the back of the pack, but she made up ground at every point of call and was closest at the finish. That was not a poor performance. And then she came right back to win again under a little more pressure to win that May 21st race. It didn't get much of a figure either. But it was another good performance. I guess you would have to concern yourself a little bit with her most recent start, a performance that just really wasn't close to her best. She did get forward to get after the pace in there while 3 wide. You can't say that being on the outside was a big disadvantage because the horse that beat her was 4 wide and kept right up alongside Bomb Diggity throughout the running there. They briefly dueled in the stretch, and Bomb Diggity was just no match. Got tired, just held on for second in there. I don't love that they cut her back to 5.5. That's never my favorite thing to see. I know it doesn't seem like a huge difference cutting back from 6 to 5.5, but I don't like those cutbacks on dirt for horses like this. I don't know if it's enough of an excuse, but I do think that this filly has a lot of upside, a lot of potential. I won't be surprised if she bounces back in here. Asmussen's given her a little time since that disappointing effort last time, and I think Bomb Diggity's a real threat to come back with a much improved race this time. I'm taking her chances pretty seriously here. Zayn Al Arab is the morning line favorite. We talked about her. $1 million purchase way back when. Did win 2 of her first 3 starts for Chad Brown. All of those starts early on separated by layoffs. So maybe it just sort of seems like it took her a while to sort of, really find herself. But she did win 2 of her first 3 starts, both of those sprinting on the dirt. Most recently, they switched her over to turf because it felt like, those last 2 dirt starts just totally went the wrong way. They shook her up a little bit. I guess it worked okay. She ran fine in those turf races. Now they're going to come back to dirt with a trainer change. I don't think that hard to make a case for in here. I think the question you have to ask yourself is, do you really want a price like 2 to 1 on her? I don't. I would rather bet somebody else in this race. Ride the Plan is the 4. 3 to 1 on the morning line, your second choice. She certainly has the potential to win this race. I'm kind of trying to decide how good I really think she is. She did debut in that Bomb Diggity race. And she ran fine in there, but when you go back and watch the replay, she was just no match for Bomb Diggity in that race. The trip was fine. She was right up close. No match for that horse. Came back with 1 other start earlier this year and improved a little bit to finish second, and then won her next 2 starts. Beat a very weak field at Hawthorne by 10 with a 79 buyer. Matched that figure when she won at Colonial 2 starts back the last time she was on dirt. And I thought she ran fine in there. Chased while keeping up within range of the pace through the upper stretch while she was basically all in. It didn't look like she was really going to get there. Didn't gain any ground until they got inside the 8th pole. And then she finally started catching, got up late. I guess it was an okay performance. I wasn't really taken with it. They tried turf last time. I'm happy to give her the benefit of the doubt for that one. They come back to dirt now. Really good trainer. Still has upside as a lightly raced 4-year-old. Also has tactical speed. I get all those things. I'm just, not really thrilled with her races overall. And, she's not the kind of horse I'd be looking to take 3 to 1 on. Maybe she'll drift because I do think there's potential for some other horses to take money in here. Headland is 8 to 1. To me, that's a very fair price on this 6-year-old mare now. She's won 8 times in her career, facing a bunch of horses, who for the most part only have 2 or 3 career wins. And she's just got several fast races in her past too. A 97 buyer top that she earned back at the very end of 2020. She ran another 90 buyer earlier last year. They tried her in a couple of stakes races after that. She hasn't won a race. She hadn't won a race in a while before they dropped her in for 50 last time off of a little bit of a layoff. But she did, do what she had to do in that most recent start. They gave her a little time off. They brought her back. She got forward in that race, with a little bit of class relief. She won easily with a 78 buyer. Is she going to have to run faster than that to win this race? I think she is. But she, again, she has the back races that suggest that she could easily do that. And she might also have a little bit of a pace in front of her here to attack. I think those things are all positives. She's not the kind of horse that I would be, sort of leaving out if she's in that 8 to 10 to 1 range, because I think she could easily win this race. Number 6 is Awesomely Shy. 20 to 1 on the morning line, shipping in from Thistledown. She's won 3 times on dirt, 2 wins, and then a second in this race that we'll watch right now. The problem, with the 1 second place finish, though, is you're going to see right here. I don't really see the excuse for her in this race. She's 1 to 2. She made the early lead in here. The winner is right behind her all the way. So yeah, I don't think it's the kind of race where you could say, well, it totally fell apart. The winner came and sort of took advantage. The winner was basically right behind her the entire way, and the winner of this race is the longest shot on the board at 21-1. Awesomely Shy, she tries in here, but she's just forging at the end. She's not really finding anything. She's no match for the winner late, and she just gets a bob to hold on to second in there. Really disappointing performance with a 42 buyer. And now she steps way up in class to face way better horses. I thought she was hard to like, even though she has speed and perhaps she has some upside. Magic Quest is the number 7. I think this horse has to be taken pretty seriously in here. Now, she is coming off of a really, really disappointing performance in her most recent start. It's her first start of the year at Churchill Downs, but it's also a race where she was returning from over 13 months on the sidelines, and then she turns up in a race that has a really fast pace, and she goes forward in this race, and she's up there pressing or contesting it all the way up the backstretch. She gets a short lead around the turn in that race, and then she just comes up completely empty when she gets set down in the stretch. She has absolutely nothing, and everybody just sort of runs past her, and they just leave her far, far behind. It looked exactly like the kind of horse who needed a race off the layoff, and I don't think getting involved in a fast pace necessarily helped her. One other thing that I think you could point to and say, well, maybe she really does deserve the benefit of the doubt for that performance is the only other, really poor performance on her card is another race, the second start of her career last April at Churchill, a race where she got involved on a really fast pace, totally gave way in the stretch, earned a 55 buyer speed for, and then bounced right back to win her next 2 starts. And I feel like there's a chance that we could get something similar here. I think she really needed that last race off the layoff. Her form as a 3-year-old was actually very good. She has really good speed and a good outside post. And I thought she was a great price on the morning line with Saez taking over. I think Saez can be aggressive with her in here. She's drawn outside the other speeds. I think she's a real bounce back candidate. Anything like that 6-1, she's really interesting. Number 8, completing the field is Capelia. 5-1 on the line for a really good trainer in Phil Bauer. I felt like, maybe she didn't have quite as much room to improve as some of the others in here. And she's also a horse who she's going to have to probably run the best race of her life if she's going to win here. We're going to take a look at her most recent start. This is back in early August at Ellis Park, going 6.5. She did have speed from the start of this race. She had a sort of an inside post, and they just went with her right into a 3-way contested pace up the backstretch. She's dueling with the winner through the stretch, and she's just not quite as good. She's going to settle for second best in this race. The winner, by the way, was also part of that 3-way contested pace. So no big excuses for Capelia there. Just not quite as good as the winner. I think the positives for her are that she's drawn outside in this race. She should be pretty tight for this race now. And she's not the kind of filly that they have to ride her as aggressively as they did last time. She's outside now. She's shown in the past that she can sit off the pace a little bit and make a run. And it would probably be wise to ride her that way in this spot. She ran fine last time. I didn't think she ran great. I don't necessarily see the one race that she has that would make me want to bet her against this field, especially at the 5-1 morning line, but maybe she'll drift. I really respect this trainer. I really like the outside post for her, and I don't think she's impossible in here. I would just want a pretty big price if I was going to bet her. Pretty interesting though, wide open race. I feel like the first idea that I had was to play against Zayn Al Arab if that horse is indeed the 2-1 favorite. I have no interest in betting a horse like that in this field. We could put the picks up there now because I just felt like there were plenty of excuses to be made for Magic Quest for that most recent start. I'm perfectly willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. I think she really needed it. I think getting involved on the fast pace was a big problem for her. I think she's a real bounce back candidate in here. Her form as a 3-year-old was pretty good. And I think if she can get back to one of those races, she's a major player in here. The 6-1 morning line, I don't know if she's going to be that kind of price, but if she is, I think that's more than fair. She's the horse that I want. I put her over Bomb Diggity, who I do think can rebound. I thought she was pretty disappointing last time as well, but I do think that she can rebound in here. They were the 2 horses that I wanted most, 7 and 2 in this Wednesday race of the day. It's the 6th at Keeneland. It's a pretty good one for fillies and mares sprinting on the dirt. The approximate post time, 3:40 Eastern time. Good luck.